Welcome to Leadership Pathway. My name is Dave Miller. I'm the co-founder, and I am been looking forward to this conversation. It's been in my calendar for weeks. Welcome, Gabrielle Christie.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. It is morning, isn't it? It feels
Yes,
like it should be afternoon by now, but what
it,
time
it
do you
really,
start your day, Gabrielle? What's a normal alarm?
my alarm kind of goes off at 7, but I am not a morning person. I am a
Okay.
night owl.
Okay.
Therefore, like I don't come to work probably until like 10 o'clock,
I can,
because I'm usually here till like 6 or 7.
yeah,
And
right.
when you work with students, like honestly, like my youth group nights, sometimes I'll get home till 10 o'clock at
Yeah,
night
right. Right
and I'm
on.
at church starting at 9. And so those are truly like 12, 13-hour days that when
You
kids
are
are
the next gen pastor at Landing Place Church on the east side of Denver. Is that accurate?
Yes, that
Commerce
is
City is
accurate.
the address, but
Commerce
it's east
City,
side of
North
Denver.
Commerce City. Yep, that's
Tell
where
me
we're
what
at.
makes Landing Place Landing Place.
Oh man, that's such a great question. It has to be the community. I
Okay.
think what makes Landing Place is that it really is a place to land and one that has a drive to be a part of your life and your family's life.
Yeah.
Our lead pastor has a really great intentionality, not only knowing your name, but your kids' names, going to games. We really try to build community and like do life together, truly
Yeah.
do life
Yeah.
together, and find places where you can belong and connect. And if that's not there, then we desire to find you a church where you do have a place where God has placed you. We really are big about the kingdom focused mentality, which is one of the
Fantastic.
many things I love about Landing Place.
How long have you been the next gen pastor?
So, since I ended my residency, that had to be what, 2022, Dave? Is that right? Is that when it ended?
Yeah.
It's like February 2022. So, yeah, I became the next gen pastor in around February and March of 2022,
So
but have
over
been,
3 years,
yes,
you
over three
passed
years.
the magical 3 year thing.
Being statistics. Praise the Lord. It's worth it. So worth it.
Listen, people watching or listening to this, they need to know the Gabby I know, you've already got it. In that answer right there, you're so positive. Are you really that positive, Gabby? Gabrielle, we used to call you Gabby, not anymore. I get it. Gabrielle, are you really that positive? Easygoing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's just the fact that when you're doing youth ministry, it's not a place to survive, it's a place to thrive.
Okay.
And I think being in this culture with the students, it is something that is so critical to be a part of.
Yeah.
It's worth it. This
Yeah.
generation is on fire, and God has
Yeah.
given us, it's not only a calling, it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Wherever God has landed you in ministry, it's an opportunity to be a part of the kingdom and do kingdom work. And so, yeah, I think it's absolutely worth it, even through the ebbs and flows, because you're working with people and we are imperfect and we are flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that is always tricky. And there are moments where I am fighting with God and I'm like in tears and I'm like, is it worth it? Like, is this worth it? Because I'm a very sassy yet sensitive person and I'm
Yeah.
very emotional and I
Yeah.
probably cry every week at youth group because I'm so emotional about the gospel. I can't
Mm.
really contain it and my kids already know about
Yeah.
my tears.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's because truly it's because I'm just unashamed of it and it's I just can't contain it either. And
Yeah.
God's calling people to be in ministry in a place where you just can't contain the love of the gospel. So it has to be spread everywhere and it's worth it. And you have to keep fighting to choose and say yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You said it's not just a place to thrive, survive, but thrive. Thrive. Is that what you
Mhm.
said?
Yes.
Unpack that a little bit. What do you mean? You said that as though you've said that before.
Yes, I have.
That's like, is that the title of your book or something? I don't know, but
Not
you know
tell
what I
the
mean?
book, but it's something that I talked to about with other youth leaders and lately and other volunteers also in
Yeah.
youth ministry. I think you said it. I've technically, by the statistic of our culture and American culture and church culture youth wide for youth ministry, people last about they said around 18 months
Yeah.
or they have turnover or burnout.
Yep.
Um, And I think people have a perception that because this generation is going through so much with the
Hmm.
digital age and all of those
Hmm.
things, I've definitely heard parents and guardians talk about like, I'm just trying to survive their teenage years. I have
Hmm.
to just
Yeah.
survive
Right.
and survive and survive. And once they get past this, they're going to be great. And
Yeah.
I truly see it as an opportunity to watch these kids thrive because these changes are actually a cool evolution of what the Lord's doing in them. And so
Hmm.
I really try to encourage, my leaders that like this is really a great season to watch these kids grow.
Yeah.
But there's so many times where the pendulum we can really sit be like, I'm just trying to survive and have this kid
Yeah.
graduate and then we'll be good and then it'll be all great. But that's not at all true. It's so far from the truth. It really is watching them thrive and to be able to create an environment where they can thrive and
Hmm.
grow and learn and not be in a survival mode, but in a place where they are going to fluctuate.
Yep.
That's part of people and how we grow and how we learn. So
I mean,
it's
you're boots on the ground, Gen Z and Alpha, right?
yes, that is
What?
correct.
I mean, I know we can all just Google up the latest article or whatever. Like, what's this generation face? What do you see up close? What are your kids up against?
Mm, that's such a great question. I think our my students are up against how do we share the gospel and not get ridiculed, mocked,
Mm,
or rejected.
mm,
Um, and that's a lot for my high schoolers. Like they want to
yeah,
share their faith and
yeah.
they're trying to build community at their schools and start clubs.
Hmm.
Um, in Colorado, like there are some really good groups that are thriving down in Colorado Springs through Decision Point. They're doing an amazing job having kids lead clubs in
Yep,
schools and really bringing that back in the forefront. And they're now spreading into Denver.
yep,
And so we just been, pressing with kids about what it looks like to really take ownership of their faith. So that's something that they're wrestling with and how to balance time and manage it. They're figuring out time management for this generation,
yeah,
especially like there's so many
yeah,
opportunities and to plug in and do things and be part of activities and clubs and
yeah,
all this stuff. And I feel like the American culture is like if you do not fill up your time, you're lazy.
yeah.
And there is no place for these kids to rest,
Hmm.
take breaks, to
Yep,
just be. Um, and that's a really trying to teach them a balance of that because even my generation as a millennial, like I was also taught that. And so that's still
right,
something that's happening in Gen Z and
right.
Gen Alpha. Yeah, and also trying to figure out navigate their digital footprint on top of that, which is something that I did not experience until high school.
Sure,
Social media was like a thing in middle school, but my
right,
parents did not, they adamantly wouldn't allow me to have it until high
right.
school. I was very thankful for that. So even for middle schoolers, like I know middle schoolers who have social media and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
try to
yeah.
navigate all the opinions of the world.
I am a morning person and I'm
Hmm.
out riding a bike sometimes as the sun comes up. I know it's hard to imagine.
I love that
And
for
I
you.
see high school students, middle school and high school, but I'm assuming mainly high school.
Hmm.
They're already on the athletic field. They're already on track. The lights are on. There's cars in the lot. And I mean, it's 6:15, 6:30 in the morning. And then, of course, I know all of the after school things. It's the most anxious generation, right? That's what we believe. That's what we
Yeah.
read here.
Hmm.
That comes from what? Is it tied to this idea of the packed calendar? Like if I packed my calendar and I never rested, I'd be anxious. I'd have anxiety issues too. Is that where it's coming from? Or are there, I'm sure it's not that simple, but they can't help to my point, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's hard because that generation doesn't obviously have like full control over their calendar. Like I
Sure.
think, the teenagers joke, well, if I didn't have school, I'd be less anxious.
Right.
And I I can't say it's just a calendar. I think there's a lot of environmental factors
Yep.
that come along with it. What
Yep.
is going on at home? What is their dynamic? What does
Yeah.
friendships and relationships look like for them? I think
Mm.
the problem is like one of the problems that I'm trying to navigate and walk alongside with kids is what does relationships actually look like? What do friendships look like in your life? How do you define a healthy, good relationship
Yeah.
or friendship? Um, because they are getting so many opinions that aren't even just being modeled in the household or in school
Hmm.
or wherever their activities or clubs are, or through homesteads, but also
Yeah.
digitally.
Yeah.
So I think it's really about the relationships and communities that can make us anxious because we're just trying to figure out who we are and not like just that, but who we are and where do we fit in? Where do we belong? That's been the fundamental question our whole lives.
Yeah, sure.
Have we ever felt this amount of pressure as these kids have? I don't believe so.
No.
Not at this juncture, not
No
at
way.
this caliber, Dave. I don't.
I
I
mean,
did
if you're an athlete in a sport, you're going to play it year round. If you're a student, if you're a good student, you're going to all the AP courses and the things that it's like
it.
excelling has just become so extreme. I don't know.
Yeah. And excelling for what? I think.
Yeah,
What's the goal?
right.
Is it college? Great. That's awesome. Is it going into a sport? I have
Yeah.
kids who I have a student who's on the MBA track, and that's a thing. And even though it's not a season right now, like
Yep.
he's training all year round. I have students who train competitively all year round, morning, night. They have their own personal trainers. Like it is a whole thing. Like things that I love the moments where I tell kids to be unplugged because I just love seeing kids being kids. And I feel like
Yeah.
we've lost a
Yeah.
lot of that. And that's been really hard to balance.
What kind of youth pastor are you? There's some youth, and what I mean by this
Mm.
is there are some, they build their ministry through their Tuesday night or Sunday night thing, and they speak every week, and it is this. Others are super organized. Others are more communal, relational. It's fun. It's these. I see youth pastors, and they build ministries in different ways, right? What kind of
Yeah.
youth? What kind of next gen pastor are you?
No one's actually ever asked me that question. So thank you, Dave, as always, to press and ask the good questions. I always love your questions. They have me pondering for a bit. I don't know. That's like I feel like it's a blend. I'm not a person who sticks to a formula. I believe in
Okay.
pivoting. I believe that if the Holy Spirit is going to do something,
Yep.
then I have to abide by it. I also believe in using and empowering my team to lead,
Okay.
not only in small groups, but I have my leaders teaching. So it's a very collaborative ministry where I
Okay.
believe that God is orchestrated these adult leaders and teenagers to walk alongside this generation for a reason. Therefore,
Yeah.
all their voices have impact and matter, not only in small groups, but also in teaching.
Yeah.
Um, I believe in allowing a community where it doesn't have to just end on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Um, I try to do life with the students. I encourage my leaders to do so as well.
Hmm.
That means that sometimes I do life with certain families where I have like lunch with kids once a month,
Okay.
or I am going to dinner with them after youth group. And I'm doing a high school lock-in during the summer, even though I am absolutely exhausted. But if that means an all-nighter is what they
Mm.
desire because they
Oh,
want to have a space where they can be kids and have fun and
yeah.
parents feel and know it's a safe space with safe adults,
Yeah.
then we'll do so. And so
Yeah.
I can't really describe myself as like a specific type of pastor because I love organization, I love
Okay.
planning, but I also love the fact that like you can allow the Holy Spirit to do wonderful things and make room for him. And if he tells you to take a step back and
Yeah.
that, then do so.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't really have like a special formula or regimented because it's all about like where you are at with the Lord, where
Hmm.
the team that God has given you
Hmm.
for
Yep.
his ministry, not mine,
Yep. Yep.
and more importantly, the students he's calling you to disciple.
Yeah.
Um, I've seen like probably the same amount of kids for the past couple of years, and some people are like, "Are you worried that your numbers are not increasing?" And I said, I don't because I firmly believe there's depth that's happening and God
Mhm.
is calling for more.
Yeah.
And more can look different for everybody.
Yep.
I love the fun things. I love doing fun things. We did a color war in the park
Hmm.
like a couple weeks ago, and there's like 75 kids just throwing colored powder everywhere.
Yeah.
But before that, we were rejoicing with the Lord and worshiping in a park. And so anybody could see that
Yeah.
we are exalting God. So it really is about like, how do we create spaces for kids to know that they are loved and seen,
Yeah.
and also that God desires a relationship that is more than just a status quo of coming on Sundays, that he wants to see a part of them every day and wants to be
Yeah.
with them every day. So,
2 years as a resident, 3 years full time.
Yes.
5 years in,
Yes.
you're you're about a year away from, we would say, rare air. You're in rare air at this point.
Wow.
First church job, 5 years in, still there.
Wow. That's crazy. I didn't
And
think about that.
I remember when the girl from Virginia was moving to Colorado. And I think that same month, or we had someone from Colorado moving to North Carolina or something, as I recall. And that was 5, 6 years ago now, right? And I was like, this is crazy. What are we doing? It felt risky. It felt risky.
Mm.
It just came out. And yet here it is. Here we are.
Hmm.
Uh, it's hard to predict. Those things are hard to predict. Is this one going to work or not? What are the common things that make it work? What, why has it lasted? And I know you're called and I know you love Jesus and I know, but give me like, there's two or three things here. If you're struggling, hey, pastors, if you're struggling, hanging on to your youth pastors, because there's some people, and I know them well, and they're great churches, but they've had two or three since you started
Mm.
there, right? And this, I mean, so if you're struggling to hang on, here's two or three things, Gabrielle. If they're listening, what would you say is need? Why has it worked? Why has it worked? What is needed to have more Gabrielles in the world?
Oh boy. Oh,
Because we
Dave.
both know your residency, it was okay. It was an
Yeah.
opportunity, but you also
Oh,
moved in during
absolutely.
COVID and just all the things. So it wasn't like you walked into a place that had done 10 of these. This was their first time. It was early in leadership pathway world. So I don't know that anybody that had their hands on it could take credit for it. But what are the things? What was in place? Why did it work?
I have to like totally give it to the staff. I'm be
Okay.
so completely honest. For one, like it was the staff culture.
Okay.
Um, I have like this is not a bias, this is a fact. I have phenomenal bosses.
Okay.
Like I have an amazing lead pastor who leads us well as a staff, and an amazing, phenomenal executive pastor who I just had my meeting with. Like I meet with her every other week,
Yeah.
who really like is invested in all of the ministry. So I think it's really about like the having that strong upper leadership who like depending on how your matrix is, I don't know if that's like
Mhm.
a family ministry pastor, but it's really crucial for us youth pastors to have another person on staff at upper leadership or
Yeah.
that's an elder who's partnering with. I also like we also meet with our elders once a quarter, like
Oh,
having that like investment in us on staff, not only for the ministry that they have us overseeing, that God has us overseeing, but like truly care about like
yeah.
me as a person, like
Yeah.
my mental health. What did she's like asking me, what do I do in my free time? How am I
Mm,
decompressing when things are hard? Like
mm.
doing those things,
Okay.
like really doing the wellness checks, like, like, and
There
really
is no management without mentorship, right? Is that the cliche? So you
absolutely.
sounds like you're getting it. They're caring about
Yeah.
Gabrielle, the entire person of Gabrielle, not
Yeah.
just the work outputs.
Yeah. And I think that's really good. I think being connected to other youth pastors or whatever ministry you are in is
Yep.
crucial.
Okay.
I am in multiple groups. I'm in a women in ministry group in Colorado, and I'm like about to text them and coordinate a meeting for tomorrow. And then I'm also in a network that is local, like based on like other youth pastors
Yeah.
in the area where we
Yeah.
are all in that same kind of bubble from Broomfield to, to
Okay.
Henderson, all those things. So I think it's connecting with other people in the field that you're in so you do not feel like you are on a one-track mind. It's really helping you expand on what you're doing in your ministry, but you don't feel alone in it either.
Okay.
Um, I think sometimes youth ministry can feel siloed depending on when you're meeting because
Yeah.
that's very tricky.
Yeah.
You kind of feel like you're all alone in it and you're doing a lot of things, like you're doing the most.
Right.
I
Right.
firmly believe that between doing
Yeah.
not only what you do like on whatever day of the week you're serving, but then you're doing outside events
Yeah.
and like taking kids out of state and out of country. And
Yep.
so there's a lot. So I think that's really important to have community of people who understand that.
Okay.
And then I think it's really important to have a mentor. That does not mean that needs to be a mentor on staff. I have a mentor in my life who is at our church. Um, and that was something that like I sought for myself. I truly believe it's healthy to have mentorship,
Yeah.
somebody who is like outside of your staff, outside of your friend group community. I also think having friends and having that balance is healthy, but having a mentor, somebody who keeps you accountable on a different level, on a
Yeah.
spiritual, like
Yeah.
a deep, deep spiritual level that has nothing to do with you and your role as a job, but as you
Hmm.
as a daughter or son of the king is
Hmm.
very crucial to continue to challenge you and grow you in your own walk.
Yeah.
So I think those are three things like a
It's
healthy
great.
staff culture,
Love it.
um,
Connections in
community,
ministry.
like having
Yeah.
the mentorship and making sure you have a community of other network of people in your field.
Who was Gabrielle, age 18 to 22?
A hot mess.
We all have origin stories. We all, in
Yeah.
that era of our life, as we know, our brain is really getting wired up, right?
Hmm.
It's like there are elements there that are predictors for us.
Yeah. It,
Who, who
yeah.
was Gabrielle, age 18? Who were you in high school?
I was in high school. I was a people pleaser. Uh,
Okay.
Still work through that.
Yeah.
And I was somebody who like knew everybody in terms of like I grew up in the same community my whole life.
Okay.
Wasn't a small one. In Virginia
Right.
Beach, like we have almost 1 million people, so it's a
Yep.
big city,
Yep.
but like we kind of grew up, you have your bubbles.
Yeah.
Uh Gabrielle was like a wanted everybody to feel happy and
Mm.
be positive and make people feel seen who were
Yeah.
not seen and make sure that people were cared for.
Where's that
Um,
come from in your life? Why?
Probably because of my family, 100%. I grew up, I have a brother, an older brother who's 11 years older than me,
Hmm.
who has special needs
Yeah.
and cerebral palsy. And so I think
Mm.
growing up in a family with somebody who's neurodivergent, who processes things differently, who loves deeply and
Mm.
so well, like
Mm.
he taught me and has continues to teach me how to love people
Mm.
well and to see people well and to be able to meet them in a different way just because they might see something differently or view something differently
Mm.
means that you should love them 10 times harder.
Mm.
That
What's
is
his name?
Brandon.
Brandon. So your
Brandon.
first memories of Brandon, he's already a teenager, probably, right?
Yes, he
You
was
were
a
4 or
teenager.
5 years old, right?
I was like, yeah, he was a teen. I was adopted at birth, some adopted, and I think that also like has a definite a layer to it of like
Okay.
making sure people feel seen because
Mm.
when you are chosen, truly chosen to be in a family, God
Mm.
chooses you, but to be chosen from day one. And my name was like is Gabrielle, which means gift from God, is what my parents called me, Gabrielle.
Mhm.
Um, so I felt that love from day one. So I think that was really
Mm.
just like emulated in my family and culture and my upbringing. And to my parents, really are big about loving marginalized people, specifically like
Okay.
homeless ministry. For both of them was a big, huge thing in my life. Like had
Yeah.
homeless people living in my house, and
Yeah.
um,
Homeless people living in your home
yes,
growing up.
Yeah. Um, Picking people off of the streets and taking them wherever they needed to be. My dad giving them jobs, giving them hot meals every Sunday through his catering business, which like my parents sold it after he passed, and they still do that every single Sunday, and they've been doing it since 2001.
Look at
Um,
it.
and my mom runs a nonprofit and works with homeless kids in our school district and has been doing that for 15 years and partners with the school district. So it really is my culture of my family is why I am who I am,
Yeah.
because my parents saw people, like all people, and did not look at them because of their circumstance, but was seeing the potential of like who they are and who they can be and who they're supposed to be, not because of the situation that they are in, but because
Mm.
God has created them for more
Mm.
than our circumstances. And
How's
so,
this show up in your ministry now?
how's that?
I bet a new kid walks in. What is it, Sunday nights? Is that what I saw
Mhm.
on your website?
Yeah, Sunday nights.
I bet they're seen.
Yeah.
I bet you don't
Yeah.
leave. I bet you don't visit or your parents forced you to go to middle school or whatever you're doing. I don't know, but I I I bet they do not leave a stranger.
Yeah, I try not to. I really try to memorize all the students' names. Is really like, and I have 60 kids, so it
Mm.
doesn't feel too difficult. I'm like, it's not terrible. So yeah, I try to make sure like we know their names, I know who they are, like I know who their friends
Mm.
are, checking in, like,
Mm.
how did this go? Or if they tell me something, I
Yeah.
try to follow up with them and see how things are going. Um, because that's what people want at the end of the day, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
it's to be known,
Yeah.
and I want kids to be known and to like be known by God and for them to know him. Like, so that's you have to start by like seeing them first. So yeah.
You were picked.
Hmm.
You were chosen.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Um, you've now seen eighth graders graduate from high school. When you first walked in the door, you had some eighth or ninth graders, or was it so messed up with COVID? Have you been able to see many of this happen, the arc of people of students that you come through a ministry? Have you seen that yet?
Yes.
Is it hard to predict which ones are panning out, which ones aren't, which one the gospel takes in, which one
Yeah.
have you been
Yeah. I mean, you don't even
You
know.
don't know, do you?
There's no, yeah. Yeah, I think about it all the time. I have
Mm,
students who I have to call her back tomorrow, but I have students who like I met them probably going into their freshman year, sophomore year, and like to think about it, like they're juniors in college now. And
yeah.
I still talk to some of my students when they come home and we get
Mm,
lunch and dinner, and you're just like floored. I mean,
yep.
like the fact that these kids who are middle schoolers are now freshmen
Yep.
in college. I have students who are in school for Homeland Security in Florida. I have kids who are continuing to pursue ministry all over the US. It's just, and you just don't know. You have no idea
Right.
the trajectory. Some kids who like fell away from Jesus and
Yep.
then they go to college and they fall in love with him again.
How about
And
that?
like, you just continue to pray. Like I was telling this to one of my students, I met him when he was going into fifth grade and
Mm,
yeah, meet with him monthly for lunch. And I told him, I was like, no one guarantees that you will see the fruit.
yeah.
Like that is not promised in ministry. And if somebody
Nope.
told you, like, when you go into youth ministry, you're to see so much fruit, I would just like to clarify that's not in the job description. Planting
Nope.
seeds is
Yeah.
not that you will see the fruit. And so, like, now I'm like going into 6 years now almost of like
Yeah.
seeing him and these friends and like like some of these kids like you're watching, you're going through literally like their whole preteen teenage years,
Yeah.
and like I'm now seeing these kids like on fire for the Lord, starting their small groups outside a youth group on their own, meeting
Mm,
on a weekly basis, reading
mm,
Proverbs, keeping each other accountable. And I
mm.
told God, I said, I didn't think I was going to see the fruit. And I was okay with that. I was at peace
Yeah.
with it because God will
Yeah.
do it. But to actually see the fruit, like he gave, that was a gift from God. I was like, oh
Hmm.
my gosh, I can't believe it. I got to see the fruit. Like, and my leaders, when they feel disheartened, discouraged
Yeah.
when kids
Sure.
leave youth groups, because that happens, because it
Sure.
doesn't mean we are it for them. And I tell
Hmm.
kids, I'm like, my prayer is that even if you do not feel connected and seen at this youth group, that we can help you find one that you do.
Mm.
Again, like that's from top to bottom in our
Yeah.
church culture.
How about that?
And I want kids to find a connection of where they feel seen and loved in youth ministry and a youth ministry at a church. Like
Yeah.
I want that for them anywhere, truly anywhere. Um, that is just continuing to teach the Bible and lead them to Jesus. So,
Who was the first person you remember that called ministry or leadership out in you? Do you have that person? Back in
mm,
what, high school, middle school, I don't know, college age, somebody said you could do this. Anybody come to mind?
probably that's such a great question.
You've said that 3 or 4 times, Gabrielle. I feel that's very complimentary. Thank you.
Oh man, that's so hard. Probably my former lead pastor and children's pastor back at home,
Okay.
um, and one of the daughters of our children's pastor, Lacey. I think Lacey, Jason, and Becky. Those three definitely saw potential in me in youth ministry, and Suzanne, my former small group leader when I was in middle school, like
Mm-hmm.
saw leadership qualities in me.
Yeah.
Um, those are people like in my church community, like even when I like felt this tug of like, I think God wants me to
Yeah.
do youth ministry, but I like don't understand why me. And
Yeah.
like I I was in a different place than I am now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was coming out of grief,
Mm.
um, coming out of college. I was in a really like stressful workplace job of like just really busy and just kind of crazy. So when I felt called to it, I felt like unequipped. I felt unqualified. I felt not worthy of the calling, to be honest,
Mm.
because I felt like I was not a good Christian growing up. Like, I went to church, grew up with my family, but like, I felt like I wasn't pursuing Jesus the way that like I should be. So
Yeah.
why would God call me into youth ministry? Like, I really felt
Yeah.
confused. I felt like he like had the crosshairs and like was meant to call somebody else.
How about that? But when you
But he
say
didn't.
call, what do you mean? What like if you showed me a video or a picture of it, or is it like, are you being quiet and it's a prayer vibe thing kind of thing, or is it somebody saying this to you, or what was it?
I was at a retreat. I was at like a volunteer appreciation retreat, and
Okay.
someone was speaking. Oh my gosh, I cannot remember his name, but he's like a phenomenal pastor.
Okay.
And we were just like sitting there. I don't even want to go. I was like, I am so tired. Like I had such a busy week. And at
Yeah.
that time I was serving an infant. And if you know me, that sounds like a stretch now. Serving an infant sounds like a stretch, but I love babies. But I was like,
I love babies like 5 minutes an hour when they're
yeah,
cute.
they used to call me the baby whisperer back at home because I was just like, I had no nonsense. These
I
kids are
love it.
screaming and crying, and I'm like, I'm gonna hold you and you're gonna be okay. Like
Oh, that's
you're gonna be
great.
kind.
Yeah.
And so I'm there because I'm like, why am I even going to volunteer appreciation? Like these
Okay.
kids aren't even talking to me. They're literally just babbling and screaming and crying nonsense and cooing and laughing.
Mm,
Like I don't feel like I should even be here. But my mom was like, just go half a day and then leave.
mm,
You're really exhausted. And I went, and then he's just talking, and it had nothing to do with you. Then all of a sudden, I felt this like downpour of like emotions where I felt this like it was like this really weird sensation. I can't really
mm,
fully describe it well enough. I know I'm
mm,
not
mm,
describing it accurately, but I really felt this calling for youth. He like said youth loudly, and I was like, I started crying. And I
mm,
went up to Lacey, who was leading our young adults ministry at the time and
mm,
also doing youth. And I was like, I really feel God's calling me to youth ministry and I don't know what to do. And I am terrified. Like, do you need help? Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know where to go with this. And then she was like, yes, like we would love for you to serve. And I started serving in high school ministry, which felt really crazy to think about.
mhm. How old were you at
I
this point?
was 21,
Okay.
2021.
Yeah.
21. It sounds like 21. I was out of
Yeah.
college. So I was like 22. It was right like around like 21, 22.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was mortified. I was like 22, mortified. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, what the heck am I doing here? And it felt weird because when I left for college, these girls were in
Right.
elementary and
Yeah.
now I am back and they are in high school. So the kids
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
left when they were children are now becoming young
Yeah.
women. And I
Yeah.
was floored. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, so not only are you bringing me back into this, but I'm back into it with them now older. And it's a whole different ball game.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, that was really is I just felt really emotional about it. I just felt really terrified because I felt like I
mm-hmm.
was not worthy of the call.
Mm.
So
You feel worthy of the call now?
no, no, no. What do we ever like? Do we ever feel worthy of it? No,
Yeah.
no,
I mean, this
absolutely.
thing's a few thousand years old at this point, and most people that made the story are kind of losers. I mean, we hold them up as these rock star,
Hmm.
thousands of years later, but it starts with Moses and Abraham and David and the kings and the prophets and then I mean Jesus, but then
Hmm.
all the disciples
Yeah.
and then Paul and I mean they're just kind of ordinary, unimpressive
Hmm. Yeah.
screw ups.
Yeah.
And then they get used in these powerful ways.
For sure.
We expect something differently. I don't know why we do, but we do. We
Hmm.
expect something different. But if you read the story, you realize Paul's a murderer. He's a
Yeah.
murderer.
Hmm. The most
Yeah,
respected murderer now.
exactly. He was good at it. Yeah, he was good at it.
Yeah.
And then he picks up Timothy and Titus and Philemon and a few women along the way and shows them how to do it. And they go out and
Yeah.
change the world. But
Isn't that
nothing's
crazy? Like
crazy.
that the greatest love story ever
Crazy.
told is that God does not define you by your worst day,
No.
but defines you as a child of
Yeah.
God, one whom
Yes.
I still think of as talking about this is my students like about David and like
Yeah.
still a man after his own heart, like
Yep.
after, time and time mistakes. Like again, Paul
Yeah.
was a murderer and
Yeah.
yet like
Yeah.
people, I was like, someone had a speech impediment, like, was terrified of speaking, someone was too
Yeah.
young, someone
Yeah.
like there's all the
All of
excuses
it.
that we give. And like he could have chose anyone. He could have
Mm-hmm.
chose anyone,
That's right.
the ones to continue to propel his life, his testimony, the gospel, the truth, the salvation, and he chose them.
Yeah.
And for us, it makes me wonder, like, how do we come up with these higher expectations that we have to be
Yeah.
so qualified? And I don't know if it's because
Yeah.
of the life of the resume, where we feel like if our resume isn't good
Right.
enough, then
Right.
are we good enough for God? And the answer is we will never be.
Yeah.
So I think it's to scrap the script and truly believe that, like, if God has qualified you for that, his word is enough,
Yeah.
not the qualifications that we've created in ourselves and society and culture has, because none of those things that we say we have to be qualified by are in scripture. It's all by flesh.
You've been chosen a couple of times. How about that?
Yeah, crazy. It feels also got chosen to be on the board, so that feels wild.
Hey, we'll meet every once in a while. Have you
Yeah.
had any students? You got any students thinking about ministry yet? Any of these college kids that you've seen go off to school and
Yeah.
have you had any yet?
Different ways. Like they are not like pursuing it full time, but they're like
Okay.
leading. Like one of my kids learned how to play guitar, so now he's in a worship
Okay.
team. Another
Yeah.
kid, every summer, she is going to camps
Yeah.
and being a leader and does
Yeah.
that every single
Yeah.
summer and is camp leaders and also leads a small group all throughout the year for her young adult ministry back at college at GCU.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I see them doing ministry,
Fantastic.
not in like full-time ministry, but they are
Right.
pursuing ministry in so many different avenues, which is pretty amazing.
If you hadn't pursued ministry, what would you have done, do you think?
Um, Two things. I think either I would have done continued in the wedding industry,
Okay.
which is what my parents did and what I
Hmm.
did before this,
Okay.
being an event specialist.
Okay.
Yeah, it was stressful, but I still like loved organizing and
Yeah.
helping people in all the events and things. Or I probably would have gone down like the graphic design, work on like websites
That's
route.
right. I remember this.
Yeah, I
When you
probably would have
stepped into
like,
the
yeah,
COVID
probably
role, that was a big part of your story. I remember
really
coming
big part of my
in
story
and they're
for
like,
me
"Who can
doing
do
digital
the?"
studies.
And you're like, "Well, I've taken some courses."
Yeah, I was like, I had digital studies part of my degree. I can work on
Yeah.
a website and
Yeah.
see if we can fix it and make it look better. And yeah. So I think I like doing that. I did that for a nonprofit before like while I was in college and
Okay.
worked on a website. And I definitely enjoyed doing that and helping people catch vision on digital platform,
We
but not
talk
social media.
about we talk about growth edges, right? We try to predict like here's something this person's going to need to grow in.
Hmm.
When you look back 5 years, almost 6 years now, what are you like, man? I can't believe I used to either do that, think that. I've grown in that way. What do you think it is for you?
I can't believe I used to think my age was a problem.
Oh, meaning
I'm
you're too young or too old?
too young.
Okay.
Yeah. I know there's people who are younger than me who do
Right.
this, which God bless them. Uh,
Yeah.
That's like super awesome
Yeah.
and I love it. And I do feel too young and now I feel too old now that I'm like 30. Uh that I used to like really um allow that to like cause a riff in like my own mental health in terms of like having all of my leaders be older than me underneath me. I
Hmm.
was like, how am
Right.
I supposed to lead a team
Right.
of people who are
Yeah.
like 10,
Yeah.
20, 30, 40 years older
Yes.
than me, which is a
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah.
So I
And they
can't believe
look at you
I,
as the next gen pastor now.
yeah, which, you
Can
know,
you
is,
give me some advice? I'm 55 years old. I need some advice, Gabrielle. You're my pastor.
yeah. So that feels really like, feels crazy and
It's crazy.
daunting. I can't believe I also had a really tough time receiving compliments. I still,
Right.
that's like a deeper thing, not about a ministry, it's a deeper personal thing.
Yeah.
But it definitely did mess with me. It's definitely a hard time. I have to like, had to go to therapy to work through that.
Sure.
Uh, and what else about ministry? I think one more thing. I think I can't believe I believe that like numbers would define the ministry.
Right. Right.
Um, that's so many times you can get really, and even
Hmm.
today, like you can still get bogged up about
Sure.
that
Of
because you
course.
can see, I see youth groups around me growing, doubling, tripling, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what am I doing wrong? Am I missing something?
Right.
What did we do wrong? Are we not inviting? What is happening? Is it our culture? Like so you keep getting wrapped
Sure.
up, yet then I see kids like start bringing their Bible to school and doing it daily. It's like
Yeah.
you are so focused on like the crowd that you don't even see the
Hmm.
individual stories.
Hmm.
And I think the thing that reminds me is in scripture, like God wasn't talking about the crowds in scripture. He would talk about the individual things that he was doing in
Yeah.
people individually and how it affected the masses, but he would hone in on relationships because he knew to reach us, it wasn't going to be
Yeah.
about like how he impacted a crowd, but how
Yeah.
he impacted the one,
That's right.
not the 99.
That's
And like
right.
the 99 was
Mm.
part of the domino effect of it and the
Yeah.
impact and the ripple that happened from it, which praised Jesus for that.
Hmm.
But like it came from the one that he invested in and all the ones that he invested in and was so intentional about it. You can't just drop a fact and then leave. You have to
Mm.
be intentional about relationships. And so I think I definitely, as I've been continuing this, I really value the heart of intentionality behind
Yeah.
every conversation, every word, every utterance, every hug,
Mm.
every glance, like every note. Like it matters. And how do we continue to have not lose the art of intentionality in
Yep.
relationship with people?
Yeah.
Like relationships matter
It's what
so,
Brandon taught you.
yeah,
Brandon taught you this.
yes. He did. He
And now
still
you're
does.
just carrying that forward. And now they're all over the country.
Yeah. So, so wild.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And, like coming from a girl from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and to be here in Colorado still, you're just like almost half a decade in.
Yeah.
And you hear all the time people are like, they see youth ministry as a stepping stone, which
Hmm.
really feels discouraging.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, it's a stepping stone to go into executive or
Right. Right.
lead
Right.
or
Yeah.
groups or care or whatever. Like
Yeah.
they don't see it as like this is it.
Yeah.
So people ask me, oh, like what do you want to do next? Like, do you like are you seeing anything other than youth ministry? And I'm
Mm.
like, no.
Yeah.
I know somebody who here, Mr. Bill, love Mr. Bill. If you're not Mr. Bill, Dave, if you need me, Mr. Bill. If you're in Colorado, find Mr. Bill in Arvada. He's it. He's been doing youth ministry, I think, he told me like 35 years.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. I was like,
Yeah.
I want to be that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he's still in it. And I love youth ministry. The people, yeah, again, they think age,
Hmm.
there's like this age bracket of when youth
Right.
ministry is like you're relevant. And I said, I have leaders who are from the age of like 14 and 15 to people in their like
Yeah.
late 70s
Yeah.
that serve and lead in my ministry. And that matters.
Yeah.
So yeah, the generations all need to step up to have an impact on these generations. If
Yeah. I
you
love it.
feel like this generation is doomed, then your generation needs to step up and do something then.
I love that.
Start serving,
Yeah.
start being a part of it. Ask your youth pastor if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I don't know, my youth ministry, like they have a certain, then talk and have a conversation about it. Because I truly believe all these generations have an impact that matter. Because if we really care about this generation, like God calls us to, all generations are a part of it. We are all part of the kingdom, so we all have an assignment to do. That is
Gabby,
this.
I can't imagine someone sitting talking to you and you putting, I can't imagine anyone saying no to that. As you start talking, I'm looking at you and I'm like, maybe I should go be a volunteer with Gabrielle at her church. I love it. Thanks for this. It's good to just, hopefully it's been good for you to think about these things.
Yeah.
Pause every once in a while and look back.
Hmm.
Like you, when you said, I was a hot mess. You were chosen, you were adopted. Your brother, Brandon, who was Gabby in high school, a hot mess. And now look, and then who knows where it's going?
Yeah. I'm still a hot mess in a lot of ways, but I think it's
Sure.
a hot mess who like,
Yes.
I love Jesus. I can't.
Ironically, Gabrielle, it sounds like you found a landing place.
I mean, I did.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for Leadership Pathway for making the
Yeah.
connections and
Oh my
being,
gosh.
thank you, Dave, for being obedient.
Yeah.
Um, I just want to like do a shout out for that. Like
Yeah.
for you and your wife, the obedience that you guys had to
Mm,
say yes for a calling, to create, to build connections. Like
mm,
I've never in my wildest dreams would I think of having
yeah.
this connection if
Yeah.
you and Kristen didn't say like yes to
Yeah.
this. And that
Appreciate
is
you.
for us and for the thousands of kids who are in residency, out of residency. Like that is so true for all of us. And I think that should be a testament for
Mm,
anybody, any church that is considering this.
mm,
It is worth it. Leadership pathway, residency program, investing in this next generation, partnering with this organization is worth it because you have no idea what potential you might even have inside of your church and you need to have structure, or even outside and you have no idea what that person is going to do into your
yeah.
ministry and bring in a fresh wind. But this is worth it. And it's not because I'm on the board, but it's because I was a part of it. I was a part of it before I was on the board. So give it a chance. Ask the questions, reach out, have a phone call with them, chat about it. You have no idea what that will do. And like, there's a kid waiting at the door who wants to come into your church and set a blaze. And all
Mm,
you have to do is say yes and allow them that opportunity. It's an opportunity for them to thrive, not survive. Let's stop being surviving churches in America. Let's
mm,
thrive.
mm.